Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Rosmo. And if you saw the title and know this movie, then good for you. We can discuss about it. And if you haven't, and I quote from this comment from the last video, from Guess Who? They said, I had never heard of this, so I came to get educated by our queen. And thank you very much. But I am not a queen. I am a peasant. I am not Speaking of queens, peasants, and royalty, this movie we're gonna talk about has that kind of setting, and it's a 3D animated movie called Charming that was made back in 2018 by Vanguard Animation. And the ratings were so bad. But I didn't see that before watching, so I went into this blind. Now, this video, of course, has spoilers, but if you want to keep on watching, go ahead. Do I recommend watching it, though? No. Is it good, though? No, not really. Did I like it? Weirdly enough, I enjoyed it. It's an enjoyable watch, a lot of things wrong with it, but even if that is the case, I still liked it for some reason. Now, the story basically goes that this guy is absolutely charming, as the name of the movie goes. Go figure, huh? And he has a curse that every maiden falls in love with him, which was caused by this evil witch that had a crush on big old dad here, but got rejected. Now she's bitter, and the only way to break the curse is for him to find true love's kiss before his 21st birthday. If he fails to do so, all love will disappear. Yep. That is the conflict. But since every girl he meets instantly falls in love with him, he can't really tell the difference if it's actual love from the person or it's just the curse. Also, at the start, we get this song number of these three princesses singing a song called Trophy Boy, which I'm gonna be honest, it's an earworm. I kinda like the song. Plus, Ashley, Avril Lavigne, and Jem, of course it's gonna sound great. He has only a few days to consider who to marry, and he still can't choose, so his father suggested that he go on a journey for the rite of passage to Fire Mountain, the Gauntlet, because that's how he found love with his late wife, and that's how he suggests Felipe would do to find his. Then we cut to someone stealing from some guards with the help of animals. And I don't know, this was really entertaining to see if they can pull it off, which they do. And that's when we meet Lenore. Felipe walks around the town, and then he meets Lenore, who is unaffected by his curse for some reason, gets kicked in the balls, and then Lenore runs off because she's wanted and tries to escape the guards she stole from earlier. She hides in a bakery and meets the three princesses who ordered a wedding cake for their wedding. And as she talks to the ladies who talk about their betrothed, she snatches their valuables, which I don't know why the others don't notice at this point, but it's better not to think about it, guys. She even stole her shoe and replaced it with cake. With cake, guys! Wow! She gets caught, agrees to assist the prince on his journey in exchange for her freedom, and they go on the adventure together. Felipe would tell her about the princesses he had to choose from, and what he says about every princess, in reality, is wrong.
She takes her time.
How long is this going to take?
A while?
TikTok, buddy. It's always midnight somewhere.
Which, I'll give it to them, adds silliness and shows that Felipe doesn't actually know them at all, and by that logic doesn't really truly love them. They cross these killer vines and survives and floats up in the sky with this ticking time bomb of a death trap. Like, I don't know. Okay, it looks nice, maybe, but it made my hands sweat the whole time. Like, what if they fall? I don't care if it's a cartoon, they won't, but it gives the same feeling of those parkour people in tall heights. You know they won't fall, but it's still so nerve-wracking. Anyway, they encounter a village of giants. He flirts with the Titan waifus and then gets anointed. And while that is happening, Lenore is getting cooked while talking to Sia, the half-oracle. She gives her some half-predictions, love advice, and a nice but unnecessarily long song. Don't get me wrong, this song sounds nice, but not now. It drags on. And then they escape. They face this rock giant, and after a bunch of struggle, Felipe fights the rock while Lenore suddenly gets this epiphany of, whoa, I kinda like him, don't I? Yeah. Okay, I know there are times where she would show interest sprinkled in, but it doesn't work as much. So Lenore decides to confess to see if Felipe could actually fall for a girl like her. Then we get another song, which sounds more like Demi than Lenore, which must sound like a stupid phrase. But you need to understand, the singing is more Demi than the character that is Lenore, if that makes sense. During the song, they have a duet in her imagination, by the way. The song doesn't even sound like it's mixed in with the movie. It sounds like an AMV, you know? Just slapped in some mixed song audio and not care about the environment of the scene. She goes to the dainty dish and sees Felipe surrounded by girls and gets angry. Even though Felipe mentioned that is his curse, I get it. She feels embarrassed and got scared and shut her heart again, yada yada yada. But she seemed so surprised. What? The next day, only a few more steps to the end of the journey, Lenore would tell Felipe that
if you really love someone, you would only have eyes for her. If you really love someone, you would dissolve all other engagements before ever seeking her hand. And if you really love someone, you would know how cruel it is to allow her, or anyone else, to believe that she might love you.
which of course Felipe wouldn't understand, because 1, he doesn't even know she was the girl he likes, and 2, he didn't even see her. So as good as these lines would have been, it kinda confused me and Felipe. It wasn't given the proper scenario to be more emotional, is what I'm trying to say. They reached the end, revealed that no one trusted him to survive the gauntlet, and that's why Lenore went with him, and revealed that Lenny is actually Lenore, which Felipe likes. I'm not gonna lie. He likes it. He's happy. Lenore gets all tsundere again and walks away. I was done. I was as done as this fairy godmother. Like, putakte, ayusin niyo buhay niyo. Ang daming may gusto ng jowa. Ikaw meron na sa harapan mo. Just say the words, parekoy. And he's yours. He chose none of the princesses and decides to end himself to break the curse before the deadline. Which, if that's all it took, then they didn't need Lenore to accompany him, you know? Just let him die on the gauntlet. I don't know. But anyway, he wrote letters to all the women to tell them to find their true love, which was kind of sweet. Then he meets his dad and has this tender moment, and I'm never gonna trash on this. I love this scene. His dad tells him how proud he is and that he would have been a great king, even though he didn't lift the curse everyone expected him to do. This movie may be meh, but a tender father-son moment is rare. I'll give them that. Of course, I'm gonna mention this guy. He's so gentle speaking and silly. I love it.
Oh, it's just a job. My heart's not in it, really. You know, I just happen to have a talent for the work.
Props to this guy. I love him. Lenore stops it and saves him. Nemini gets in the way and tries to stall their kiss with a fog, and she tells Lenore,
"What part of doomed to never love do you not understand?"
That is your curse, not mine.
Okay, both lines were cool, but Lenore was never cursed to begin with. She just closed her heart herself, so it didn't make sense to me. Felipe saves Lenore, and Felipe dies. Lenore kisses him, and the curse is broken. And then, whoa, Felipe's not actually dead. And they get married, and Somebody to You plays in the background, and how can you not smile? I loved this song back in high school, and it really gives a happy vibe for the ending. That's where the movie ends. Now, before I talk about my opinions about the story, let's talk about the character. Firstly, Lenore. She gave off that generic strong woman who doesn't need no man trope, without being cliche and flat. Kind of. She's cliche to some extent, but something about her makes me feel like she's not trying to prove to you that you don't need a man in your life. She just likes money, okay? That's her character. She's not boyish to show how strong she is. She's actually pretty cool. She likes being feminine, as what I would assume in this scene, because if she didn't, she wouldn't have bought a dress she thought was pretty just to confess. Like, she can snatch stuff so quickly without logic. She even stayed to talk to her captors, only to show that she would have escaped all along. That's freaking cool. The romance for her part, though, it wasn't built up properly. The reason why she's immune was because she closed her heart, right? And she only loves. So you're telling me, out of every woman in this kingdom, none of them, not even one, loves only money? What if a girl was in a bad breakup and closed her heart to love? Is she still immune? Apparently not, because Lenore's the only one who's immune, I guess. Also, it would have been great if she changed her hairstyle. Just me? I'm sure it's not just me. And also a more glamorous dress. Not that the dress looks bad, but you know how Barbie back in the day had beautiful, simple gowns? And how Disney princesses had creative, dazzling dresses? Yeah, I was hoping for that. I guess not today, girls. We'll get them next time. Look, guys, if you want to see feminism done right, Legally Blonde is right there. Take some notes. I don't know if they were aiming for that message, but they would advertise that it's from the creators, makers, or directors of Shrek. And Shrek was known to break stereotypes of the woman in that movie. So I just assumed that they were aiming for that message. If I'm wrong, then I apologize. Felipe. Okay, at first the character didn't appeal to me and I thought he was just gonna be another Victor. Weird, unfunny dialogue? Check. Silly and fumbly? Chikamundo. Paired with a strong female character? Check. But the thing is, I love Felipe's character. He thinks about his people primarily on this journey. He wants the women to find their own true love. Heck, he was even willing to give up his own life for his people. He's not perfect, but you can't label him just a comic relief in this. There weren't much characters to discuss. The characters of the princesses were nice though. Snow White is a very, very cautious person, which is reasonable. Sleeping Beauty is always lethargic, and sleeping because if I slept for years, then that is the only thing I'll be good at. And I'll keep doing it too. And Cinderella is always in a hurry. Nemone Never Wish? Plot device, just for Lenore and Felipe's arc. Like, come on, throughout the movie, all she did was make fog, conjure up some gems, and make more fog. She's basically a human fog machine. Am I right? Or am I right? The dad had so little screen time, but the few seconds he had with his son in the tender part was enough for me to not dislike him. Honestly, if he cried, maybe shed a single tear, hell, if his voice broke for just a second, I would weep in that scene. The animation was okay. The character designs looked a bit weird except for the three princesses. They're the only ones who look good. I expected at least Felipe to look, you know, charming, but we get an overstretched potato. No, calm down, okay. After knowing this story, it makes sense. He doesn't need to look good because the people don't get attracted to him by his looks, but because of the curse. So there was no need to make him have like Merlin levels of attractiveness. It would be great if he was though. I still like him even though he looks like something out of a Picasso painting. The mouth movement was off at some parts, because at some parts it's perfect to what they're saying.
That's a very specific curse.
But at some parts it's just so off.
That will come when I discover who I am to be with.
So, who's in the lead?
So let's move on and talk about the story. The plot in general is simple. Not a lot of things make sense, so it's kind of annoying. But if you try not to think about it, it becomes bearable at the very least. The romance is bad. I don't know where or how she ended up falling for this guy in just a matter of what? 2 days? 3 days? Her heart is supposed to be rock solid and shut from everyone, isn't it? I doubt a day or two would change that to a complete 180, no matter how charming or funny the guy may be. Also, I get that she's supposed to be disguised as a guy to not get arrested, but couldn't you have at least tried harder in hiding the fact? Or at least give her a different disguise? Is it just me? It bugged me how she's not even trying her best to disguise herself. Like, put on a poncho, a thick jacket, I don't know, like, girl, hide your curves. You're in disguise as a dude with a mustache. Also, I like the running gag where this guy just loses all his mustaches. I can admit that the romance fell flat at the start, but at the end, it kinda landed on its own feet, or maybe knees, in terms of how these two function in their relationship. Be it as companions or lovers. It takes two to tango, and they did the dance. Look, we might not like the romance, but the fact that the girl was the one to propose was really nice. Like, yeah, don't leave all the responsibility to the guys. Either one can propose and make a move. Guys want to be courted too, you know. Frozen 2 could have gotten that nice star, but they had to remove it from the original soundtrack. You know what I'm talking about. One addition to that scene that would have been golden was if in the scene where she grabbed his face and was like,
Good people! Is there anything you want me to say to him?
Like what?
Like, will you marry me, Prince Felipe Charming?
like, I would lose it if in the midst of silence, someone from the crowd would yell, "No one wanted to, but it's okay." And the few minutes of the movie at the end were nice. I still can't get over the fact having Somebody to You being played in the background is just a really good song. No matter how dumb this movie was, this song at the end made me smile and appreciate that they got together. Also, a forgettable plot point that I would like to point out is the one where she betrays him and makes a deal with the guardians of the princesses, basically. But that didn't last long. Hell, Felipe wasn't even mad. He was for a moment, but then poof, it's all gone. Where's the anger? Where's the betrayal? Like, why? We didn't need a "you betrayed me" plot point if they weren't gonna use it. The comedy, though, not very good. You can say comedy is subjective, but if you told me this line was funny...
All right, let's go gauntleting. It's gonna be... guntastic.
Or this scene...
I need to say something. Say something! Flavor be flabby. What was that? Try again. Face like a mermaid. No. Voice of a meerkat. My brain is a bottle. Butter on pancakes. What is happening?
Bro, you be lying. If you aren't, then let me know. I want to know if anyone actually laughed at those parts. Genuinely. I'm serious. Some parts made me chuckle though, so not all the comedy was bad. Just in my opinion, the dialogue comedy fell flat. Some of the scenario-based ones were good. Now that that is out of the way, check how long this video is gonna last for a second. Just for a second. Check it. There's still time. Yep, because this review, we're gonna be having another revisions with Rosmo. Keep the fairy tale story opening, and then the trophy boy part, keep that. But after that, instead of the father suggesting that he go to the gauntlet to find Felipe's true love, Felipe himself thinks that that's what he should do. Just a little tidbit I want to change, because in the original, he was feisty and willing to go through with it, but seemed unprepared and naive. But if he was the one planning to go, then at the very least, we know he knows how difficult it would be. Keep Lenore's introduction, but instead of just bumping in the streets and gets kicked in the nuts, they would hide together in the bakery, and as both are hidden, Lenore was stealing jewelry, and Felipe would look in confusion like, what are you doing? That's impressive though. So the girls show their trophy boy, gets shocked, runs out of the bakery, and Felipe talks to Lenore, who's admiring all the fancy treasure she got, and was like, how could you steal from them? Like, how could you not? They're covered in it, and it's out on display for anyone to catch. Look, I know you're pretty good at this, but I can't stand you stealing from my people. So he takes it back and returns it to the princesses, and that's when the guardians of the princesses rush in the bakery and Lenore gets caught. They have a deal in exchange for her freedom, but instead of assisting the prince, they ask her to kill him and make it look like the journey was too much for him and he died on accident. Okay, a little dark, I admit. But the thing is, it would make more sense, at least to me, if they asked for that, to let their princesses be free from the curse. Nemone Neverwish? Just let her be the conflict of the past. Don't bring her up as the one getting in the way. Her role in this revised version is giving the curse, and that's it. Honestly, I just want her to be in the very back seat, chillin', not caring what happens to the curse. But she logs on her crystal ball like an afternoon telenovela, you know, just to check up on it, and doesn't care what the outcome would be. So Lenore accepts, but feels just a tiny bit bad, like, poor guy, he seemed nice too. Oh well, so in disguise, instead of a man with a mustache, she dresses up like a fancy rich noble or something, which looks way different from her usual outfit. But instead of that being a secret from Felipe, she'd rock up in the usual Lenny outfit disguise and tell him she's willing to help him on the gauntlet. But for the whole time, Felipe is just silent with a naive face and goes, why are you wearing that? It's obviously you. So he takes her shopping, picks a lady knight armor, and Lenore laughs at the fact that she's dressing up all ladylike, like that would hide her. And a bunch of guards rock up past the store. Felipe says hi, and the guards would stare and wave happily back and leave. You gotta be kidding me, Lenore says. And they go on to the gauntlet. They pass the killer vines, and here, since he knows that this is Lenore and not Lenny, he'd admire how good she is with the bow and arrow and her skills, and You know, I'm keeping this scene, but without the whole structure falling apart. And while talking though, she tries to push him out, but then Felipe goes and compliments her and describes how good she is with genuine admiration, and Lenore gets surprised, but oh no, too late, she bumped into him, but Felipe grabs a hold of her arm for dear life and thanks her for saving him, not thinking she planned to push him all along. So continuing on, Felipe holds the reins as they travel while they talk about the princesses, as usual, and during the conversation, they hear thumping, and Lenore quickly grabs the map and asks Felipe which way he went in a specific part of the map. Felipe shrugs and asks why, and then boom, giants pop up behind them, and she goes, that's why. They get caught. Lenore can slip out of the giant's hand anytime, but as soon as she was going to, Felipe charms them, and now he gets anointed. And then she gets trapped in the pot to talk to the half-oracle. And instead of a song, she talks about what she sees. She would go, I see you're trying to kill the man. Huh? Yeah. And you want to. Or maybe you don't. You know, no one wants to take a life, you know? I just do what I gotta do to survive. I can see he likes you. A lot. Or maybe not a lot. Yet you do not like him. Or rather, attempt not to get attracted to him. And fail. Or succeed. 50-50. And all the while, Lenore is just done with this lady who spouts half predictions and facts she already knows. At this scene, instead of showing how she closed her heart to love, we're shown that she's numbed her heart to empathy, not just love, or else she wouldn't be able to survive with getting eaten by the guilt of stealing treasure, taking lives of other pirates, or people in the sea. No song. I'm sorry. We don't need the song as much as it sounds good. And then she goes to sleep, but wakes up as Felipe rescues her. She asks why he didn't leave her and save himself, and Felipe looks at her, confused, as if rescuing someone wasn't even a question, and laughs it off. The half-oracle wakes up from that laughter, and they run off and escape. They lost all their belongings, weapons, and map, except for the sword at Felipe's side. They talk about the princesses again, and in the divergent paths, Felipe goes, "Oh, I remember from the map, we should go here." And Lenore doesn't trust him enough, so she continues on to go the other way, even as Felipe continues to insist that that's the wrong way, and they should go the other way. Which he was right, and now we're at the heart of the rock giant. Lenore recognizes that it's a rock giant, and then she acted as if she wanted the gem, only to let the rock run wild and try to get Felipe. While Felipe is fighting, Lenore disappears to the side where Felipe wouldn't see her, as he is preoccupied with fighting and realizes she bailed on him. Not a comedic fight, mind you, a serious you're gonna get hurt fight that takes a while. So Lenore talks to the bird about how she feels a little bit guilty, how she doesn't and shouldn't care as much because, you know, life is always unfair. But in the midst of talking, Felipe passes them, surprised to find Lenore, and grabs her hand and pulls her away, to which he thinks is safety. He sees Lenore with the heart of the rock and looks at her for a moment before snatching it and running back to place it back on the rock. He does it, and Lenore sees and is impressed at how he was able to do it, and then she walks off, but Felipe calls out, sounding a bit upset. "You had the heart the whole time? Why didn't you give it to me?" "Well, I got scared. I couldn't go to you," she lied. "I could have died against that rock giant, you know." And then she'd look away and roll her eyes and be like, "Yeah, genius, that's the point." And then Felipe would snap, and they would go into an argument like how he noticed she tried to push him out before, or tried to escape alone and leave him in the giant's village, and purposely remove the heart of the rock giant and leave him to fight it alone. This is just to show how he is not a naive guy. He can notice someone being sus. So they have a heated argument where they both voice out their frustrations, they pause, and then laugh. This is where Felipe tells her that this is the first time he had an argument with a woman, and how Lenore feels relieved to be able to talk to someone for the first time in a long time who isn't an animal, and thinks to herself not to go with the deal anymore because she got attached to this guy. This guy ain't that bad, you know? She also tells him how she likes how she's dressed. Like she always felt that she had to be different from the other girls, but here she is, warming up and thinking that it's alright to be like the other girls. She can be strong and independent and still like dresses and shopping. And Felipe hypes her up and is happy for her. And he explains how he's proud that he was able to overcome that rock monster, and Lenore tells him how good he is and was impressed a bit. At this point, we can see Lenore unconsciously being open to Felipe now and understanding him to a personal level. And so, since they're almost finished with the quest, they go to the dainty dish at 8 to celebrate. And instead of them going separately, they go together. But every time Lenore would take her eyes off of, like, order or find a table, he would immediately be surrounded by women, which she's not surprised, but just sick of it because she can't even eat in peace. So she leaves. And here we get this argument from the original, which holds more depth since they both had time to know each other and bond. Then the Guardians revealed that they had a deal with Lenore that she would try to kill him, but she explains that she didn't go through with it because, yep, she's not used to voicing out her feelings, so she doesn't say why. And then Lenore leaves. Felipe doesn't pick a bride and decides to end himself for his people and do those letters again. Keep the father-son moment, and since Felipe ends up dying, the guardians of the princesses go to Lenore, who is ready to set sail back to the sea. They hand her the treasure, which confuses her because she didn't keep her end of the deal. But there, they say what Felipe is planning to do and leaves, leaving Lenore on the docks alone looking down. Then we cut to Felipe, who is about to meet his maker, and Lenore comes, apologizes, and confesses her feelings, and Felipe acts angry, but softens his look and is proud of her to be able to do that, and they kiss. Curse broken. And then the scene where she says, "Good people, is there anything you want me to say to him?" "Not really." Like, "Will you marry me, Prince Felipe Charming?" "I said not really." Then it ends. Look, it's not a perfect story, probably not better than the original. It's still dumb and kind of forced, but it's the best I could do without changing so much. So to end, the movie is a feel-good movie. It's the turn-off-your-brain kind of movie. So if you can do that, you'll enjoy it. Should you watch it though? I don't recommend, but I personally enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be respectful in the comments, and I'll see you in the next review. So yeah!